The University of Queensland, or UQ, is a top-ranked Australian institution with a critical mass of researchers in a broad spectrum of fields. UQ staff are united by a passion for high-quality applied discovery. They frequently work in multidisciplinary teams and with some of the world's best research infrastructure, which is continually updated with the support of governments, industry and philanthropic groups. Technology for the world's first vaccine for cervical cancer was discovered at UQ, where its co-inventor, immunologist Professor Ian Fraser, heads an institute that is investigating vaccines to treat cancers caused by infections. UQ has co-founded the Translational Research Institute, made possible by a gift of $50 million from the Atlantic Philanthropies and support from government.
And have you tested any of the skin samples yet?
Yeah, this is the skin.
The Institute will enable Queensland-based scientists, such as Professor Fraser, to participate more directly in the development and delivery of therapeutics to benefit people worldwide.
The Translational Research Institute is a model for the way that we'll be doing research in the future, because it will bring together scientists from a wide range of disciplines with clinicians tackling real problems in a hospital setting to concentrate on the best solutions to single clinical problems. The focus on cancer on the one hand and immunological diseases on the other should result in better outcomes for patients with cancer and new approaches to treatment of chronic diseases where the immune system damages your health. A unique feature of the Translational Research Institute will be a biopharmaceuticals manufacturing capacity. This will enable the immediate clinical testing of the research outcomes achieved in the Institute.
UQ's position at the forefront of medical research is supported by government funding. $40.2 million from the Australian government has helped to expand the National Imaging Facility and will contribute to the establishment of a complex to house the Centre for Advanced Imaging. The centre uses state-of-the-art imaging instruments to conduct research into improved personalised medicine and diagnosis techniques.
The Centre for Advanced Imaging brings together a range of multimodal imaging facilities such as ultra-high field magnetic resonance imaging, as well as molecular imaging with positron emission tomography. We see individual centres around the globe where there might be a strong emphasis on development of technology or a strong emphasis on application, but here we see the whole lot together, and I think being integrated, being multidisciplinary and being multimodal really makes this one of the best facilities in the world for doing this kind of research. Because the technologies look at basic biological processes such as the proliferation of cells, the diseases that our advances will be applicable to will include diseases such as cancer, important brain diseases such as dementia and stroke, and crippling diseases such as arthritis.
Bridging the gap between hard science and humanities-based scholarship is Dr. Elizabeth Stevens, whose research project looks at the uses of medical imaging in popular culture.
The aim of this project is to examine the rapid expansion of imaging technologies, which were originally developed in a medical context, into a broad range of popular and commercial spheres. So we see examples of anatomical images in things like popular television shows and in government campaigns on health issues, advertisements for those, and as well advertisements for commercial products like skin creams or hair replacement products and so on.
Dr. Stevens hopes that her research will foster a dialogue between medical practitioners and humanities scholars and shed some light on the way anatomical images are used in popular culture.
My main focus is to look at the cultural significance of anatomical images in popular and commercial spaces, in that people assume that whatever they see, or whenever they see an anatomical interior, that they're seeing the truth about that body. That gives them a really strong status in popular culture. So I'm interested in helping people be more critically aware of the implications of that.
Professor Robert Henry heads up another multidisciplinary initiative at UQ, the Queensland Alliance for Agriculture and Food Innovation. This new UQ Institute, a joint project between UQ and the Queensland Government, aims to increase the efficiency and sustainability of production within Australia's food and fibre industries.
The Institute will link the latest scientific advances to industry's problems directly by building a capability that allows new technologies that are emerging to be applied to problems of agriculture and food production. And this is particularly acute in the face of climate change and growing questions of food security due to population growth and increasing food consumption globally. Part of our advantage is the critical mass and size of our operation, but also the mix of disciplines that we're able to bring together at a high level to apply to the challenges that we face.
To help combat global challenges such as climate change, UQ has established the Global Change Institute, which will help secure solutions to the problems of a rapidly changing world. The Institute is headed by Professor Ove Hugulberg. Its new facilities were made possible by a donation of $15 million from Graham Wood, co-founder of WhatIf.com.
The Global Change Institute is focused on some of the challenges that we're going to face as we go into the next few decades and century. And these are the problems of population, resource use, technology, and things like climate change. So at the Institute, we're focused on bringing research communities together to tackle these problems, to get the sorts of answers that policymakers need to essentially solve and minimise the impacts. The Institute's going to be housed in one of the most spectacularly original buildings here in Australia. It's going to be a zero carbon, zero waste building. It's about maximising the way a building works without having to use air conditioning. And of course these types of buildings are going to be very important, and that's part of what the Institute hopes to achieve, is to change people's way of looking at the future.
UQ recognises that a key issue for the future will be providing adequate sources of renewable energy. The university is making a bold investment in green energy with its $7.75 million solar array at the St Lucia campus. The array was made possible by funding from the Queensland Government and support from industry, and will save 1,750 tonnes of greenhouse gas a year, equivalent to taking 335 cars off the road.
The University of Queensland is now one of the leading solar research universities in Australia. We have work across many disciplines, the fundamental physics and chemistry of producing solar cells, all the way through to the engineering aspects of how you deploy this type of energy infrastructure into a grid, then plus the economic value of it in the School of Economics and Business. And so it's a very comprehensive portfolio of research. And this 1.2 megawatt flat panel project is one of the largest at any university around the world, and it fulfills a number of very important roles. Firstly, of course, it generates a lot of green electricity. Secondly, there's very few places in the world that we can do, for example, technology testing at this scale. This brings a very significant benefit to UQ in terms of its ability to run large solar-focused research programs.
UQ's commitment to technology research is internationally recognised. The university's Centre for Hypersonics is leading a $14 million consortium that is developing scramjet systems. The project, ScramSpace, offers promise for safe, reliable and economic access to space, and will also test scramjets at super high speeds in UQ's world-class hypersonic ground test facilities.
Scramspace is the flagship and the largest project to date of the new Australian Space Research Program. We depend on space-based technologies enormously for remote sensing and for communications and other aspects. So if you take a multi-stage rocket that you would use to launch a satellite and you replace one of the stages with a scramjet, you get much improved efficiency, and ultimately you can put that satellite into orbit for much less cost. Well, in terms of payload, it means that you can increase the weight of your payload, which means you could put more satellites into space. But it also has other benefits. That means you can make your flight more reliable. That means you can fly more often, and the cost will come down from that point of view as well.
UQ Research provides governments with the right information to help make informed and effective policy decisions. In a world first, Professor Lorraine Mazarol is building the Counterterrorism iLibrary, a comprehensive database that will assess the effectiveness of counterterrorism measures.
The Counterterrorism iLibrary is a software innovation that we developed here at UQ. It's a system that automatically crawls the web and picks up open source information like newspaper articles and government reports that describe counterterrorism measures in Southeast Asia. We use text mining software to identify the places, dates and different types of counterterrorism interventions. From there, the iLibrary creates a live database that we then use to assess the impact of these different measures. With our input, governments can assess what counterterrorism measures work best to deal with the terrorism problems in our region.
Commercialisation is one of many paths to global impact for UQ Research. The university has 4 successful technology transfer companies. The largest, UniQuest, benchmarks in the global top 10% of university equivalents. Its worldwide products include the cervical cancer vaccine and Professor Matt Sanders' P Positive Parenting Program, communicated via TV, radio and print. The benefits reach far beyond the 1 in 5 children who have preventable behavioural and emotional problems.
When we look at all the research and we say, how do children benefit when their parents learn positive parenting skills? They benefit in lots of important ways. They're more cooperative, they're less aggressive, they're less demanding, they're easier to live with, they do better in school, they have better peer relationships and stronger self-esteem. When we ask the community what they're looking for in a parenting program, it's very important that the kind of advice that is provided to parents is well validated, in other words, well researched. There's no greater contribution that research from a social scientist can make to the community than to know that the parenting strategies that we're researching can reduce child abuse and neglect in the community.
Almost 4,000 trainees from all over the world are pursuing research higher degrees at UQ. They are the next generation of outstanding researchers, building on their mentors' work to push the frontiers of knowledge, target the world's great unsolved problems, and prepare for issues that are as yet unknown.